Hey there folks, the #1 Ichiko Aoba fan here with another quick album review, and today I wanted to talk about the new Ichiko Aoba record, Luminescent Creatures. Chances are, if you are watching this video, you already know who this woman is, so I'll get through it quickly for you. Ichiko Aoba has become one of the most critically acclaimed folk singer-songwriter type artists of the century so far, and there's an argument to be made that she is one of, if not the most consistent of her kind. By her kind, I mean folk artist, basically. And in particular, 2020's Windswept Dawn really broke her name through to a larger audience than ever before, and she has since captivated the ears of individuals who had previously never heard her name, and it's been nice to see her get that wider exposure. Her latest effort, Luminescent Creatures, follows up that aforementioned record really nicely, and while I do kind of feel like it's a slight step down for her, her other work in recent years, I don't know, that just really isn't saying much, considering she's generally pretty amazing. So to go from amazing to great, ooh, what a fall off. Ooh, Ichiko Aoba's Over Party. Like, no, it's still a great album. It's just less great than some of her other work. This is as serene and peaceful as you would ever want from one of her albums. I mean, there's a lot to love here. Some of the best moments are just absolutely peace and calm instilling, for lack of better terminology, you know. The gorgeous keys on the track SONAR, all caps for that one, so, keep that in mind. Or her haunting vocals across really the entire record. They just end up being striking in the best cuts here. I mean, the best moments, those brief little moments where you're just kind of taken away by her vocals or by some of the compositions, they really do feel as magical as any other album that Aoba has put out in, however many years in recent memory, which is not to really say that this is exactly equal to some of her finer works, but, at the same time, I do think it has a lot of moments that feel like trademark her, for lack of a better term, It's just exactly what you would want from an album like her. I mean, in a sense, this isn't especially different from what you would expect from her, like, tonally speaking, but, at the same time, this folk singer-songwriter style fused with ambient music and a lot of just totally free-form recordings, a lot of nature recordings, I don't know, I just think it makes for a very pleasant listening experience, and while I'm not blown away by how gorgeous this is all the time, I do think there are a lot of moments that do kind of reach that level, and they come pretty frequently on a relatively short album. And yeah, I don't think that this is her best work, but like I said, that's like going from, 4.5 out of 5 to 4 out of 5. This is extremely pretty, and the highlights here are nothing short of wonderful, but it's also a pretty short record overall, sort of leaves it feeling maybe a little bit bare in my eyes, especially in comparison to some of her previous works. Not to compare this album to some of her previous albums too terribly much, but at the same time, when you do consider this in the context of Ichiko Aoba as an artist, I just don't think it's necessarily her magnum opus or the album that really acts as the definitive work of her discography up to this point. But honestly, who really cares when the vocal work is still this gorgeous, the instrumentals are still this serene and lush in places, and the entire album feels this engaging still. It's a lovely record, and that doesn't change even when I don't think this one is her best work or anything like that. It's still a great record, and one of my favorite albums of the year so far. If anything, it's testament to Ichiko Aoba as an artist that one of my favorite albums of the year so far isn't even like top 3 in her discography. Truly an incredible, creative, amazing individual. Like, I know it sounds like I'm hating on this album a lot, and theoretically I am, actually, but, at the same time, I'm not gonna sit here and then be like, oh, this isn't as good as her other stuff, I'm gonna give it a 3, I'm not gonna do that. I'm only focusing on the negative aspects because the positive aspects are what you would expect from her. You would hope to go into an Ichiko Aoba record wanting some of her very versatile and mellow guitar work, her angelic vocals, or anything like that. Like, of course you would go into this album expecting that, and that's what you get on this album. I can't complain about that, but there's also no point in me bringing it up when 2,000 other people have already talked about that aspect of her entire body of work, every record that she's ever put out. And of course, it's amazing. She's an amazing vocalist, and this record, despite not being my favorite from her, is nothing short of wonderful still, and I do genuinely greatly enjoy it, and if you aren't listening to it, you are severely missing out. I'm going to give this record 4 stars out of 5. With that being said, that is the end of this quick album review. Thanks for watching the Infinite Jukebox, and I'll see you in the next one.